All right. Gonna get going here. Gonna pull up the next story. So, last time we did The Child of the Evening Star. It was about a girl, Owini, who she's from an Indian tribe, and she didn't want to marry all of these suitors that came to her. She didn't find any of them attractive, even though physically she thought these men were attractive and they were strong. But she didn't like them because inside they were not attractive. Their hearts were not beautiful. But she met this dude, Osseo, who she wound up finding quite attractive because even though he looked kind of old and decrepit and kind of flimsy a little bit as a man, inside he was strong and he had a heart of gold. He was a nice guy. But today we are going to be doing this story, The Boy Who Snared the Sun. It's another one in this collection of American Indian fairy tales. But first, before we do that, I am going to pull up some tongue twisters so that I'm a little bit more prepared than yesterday. Because I had a couple of stumbles, a few stumbles in there. And I'm going to go through some of these tongue twisters with you. But I am going to be using my Speechmaster Pro. So, this little knick-knack kind of looks like a whistle. Maybe a rape whistle even, I guess. I don't know. We'll just say a whistle. Looks like a whistle. You put your mouth, teeth, you bite down on this little incision point here. This touches like the top of your mouth and just put it in like, probably looks weird. Like this, and then you talk and you read stuff and it makes you over enunciate words. It's supposed to make you pay a little bit more attention. And then when you combine that with tongue twisters that we have here on this screen, and let me see if this Control L thing works on here too. Doesn't work. I forgot how you full screen. Custom view, that's the one. Custom view F11. If you ever want to make your browser full screen, you want to get rid of these tabs at the top here, you can do that. Oh, what's going on? Looks like my screen is not on right now. Let me see what the heck is going on. Okay. Do this once. And do this again. Another second. What is going on? There we go. That's what I wanted. Yes, you're supposed to be seeing my screen on the left here while I was showing you a couple of things. All right, so here we go. We're going to do maybe about 5, probably maybe 10 tongue twisters with the Speechmaster Pro as well. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a pick of... Oh, I messed up. I got to start over. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A pickled pick. Oh, fuck up again. God damn it. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where is your peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Becky Water bought some butter, but she said okay. Becky Water bought some butter, but she said your butter is bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter bitter. So 'twas Becky Water. So 'twas Becky Water bought a bit of better butter. I messed that one up too. Oh my god. Alright, that's why we practice. We practice in advance. This is a warm up right now. Alright, so we're going to try to up 6. Anyways, number 3. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck, he would, as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if woodchuck would chuck wood. Seashells by the seashore. Seashells by the seashore. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? I scream, you all scream. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. I saw Susie sitting in a shoeshine shop. I saw Susie sitting in a crouton crop. Get a little saliva on that. Thing is machine washable as well. I'm going to just take my headphones off here briefly. I'm going to take this thing off and put the cap on it. Wash this later. And take that and put it away. All right, so next, just going to have a little sip of water here. It's nothing better than water. Wet water's amazing. And now we are going to switch to the boy who snared the sun. A deep, crusted snow covered the earth and sparkled in the light of a wintry moon. The wind had died away, and it was very cold and still. Not a sound came from the forest. The only noise that broke the perfect quiet of the night was the cracking of the ice on the big seawater, Gitchi-Gomei, which was now frozen solid. But inside old Yagu's teepee, it was warm and cheerful. The teepee, as the Indians call a tent, was covered with the thick, tough skin of the buffalo. The winter coat of the Mukwa, the bear, had now become a pleasant, soft rug for Yagu's two young visitors, Morning Glory and her little brother, Eagle Feather. Squatting at their ease on the warm fur, they waited for the old man to speak. Suddenly, a white-footed mouse crept from his nest in a corner, and, advancing close to the children, sat up on his hind legs, like a dog that begs for a biscuit. Eagle Feather raised his hand in a threatening way, but Morning Glory caught him by the arm. "No, no," she said, "you must not harm him. See how friendly he is, and not a bit afraid? There is game enough in the forest for a brave boy's bow and arrow. Why should he spend his strength on a weak little mouse?" Eagle Feather, pleased with anything that seemed like praise of his strength, let his hand fall. "Your words are true words, Morning Glory," he answered. "Against Amik the beaver, Wabuse, the wild swan, it is better that I should measure my hunter's skill." At this, Yagu, turning away, broke his long silence. "There was a time," he said mysteriously, "when 1,000 boys, such as Eagle Feather, would have been no match at all for that mouse as he used to be." "When was that?" asked Eagle Feather, looking uneasily at his sister. "In the days of the great dormouse," answered Yagu. "In the days long ago when there were many more animals than men on the earth, and the biggest of all the beasts was the dormouse. Then something strange happened. Something that has never happened before or since. Shall I tell you about it?" "Oh, please do," begged Morning Glory. "The story I am going to tell you," began Yagu, "is not so much a story about the dormouse as it is a story about a little boy and his sister. Yet had it not been for the dormouse, I would not be here to tell about it, and you would not be here to listen. To begin with, you must understand that the world in those days was a different sort of place from what it is now. Oh yes, a different sort of place. People did not eat the flesh of animals. They lived on berries and roots and wild vegetables. The Great Spirit who made all things on land and in the sky and water had not yet given men mondamin, the Indian corn. There was no fire to give them heat or to cook with. In all the world there was just one small fire, watched by 2 old witches who let nobody come near it, until Coyote, the prairie wolf, came along and stole some of his fire. The food that people could manage to get was eaten raw, the way they grew it. "They must have been pretty hungry," said Morning Glory. "Oh yes, they were hungry," agreed Yagu. "But that was not all. There were so many animals and so few men that the animals ruled the earth in their own way. The biggest of them all was Boshquadosh, the mastodon. He was higher than the highest trees, and he had an enormous appetite, and he did not stay long on earth, or there would not have been food enough, even for the other animals. I thought you said the dormouse was the biggest, interrupted Eagle Feather. Yagu looked at him severely. At the time I speak of, he continued, Boshquadosh, the mastodon, had just gone away. He had not gone a bit too soon either, for by this time the only people left on the earth were a young girl and her little brother. Like Eagle Feather and me? Asked Morning Glory. The girl was much like you, said Yagu patiently, but the boy was a dwarf who never grew to be more than 3 feet high. Being so much stronger and larger than her brother, she gathered all the food for both and cared for him in every way. Sometimes she would take him along with her, and when she went to look for berries or roots. He's such a very little boy, she said to herself, that if I leave him all alone, some big bird may swoop down and carry him off to its nest. She did not know what a strange boy he was, and how much mischief he could do when he set his mind upon it. One day she said to him, Look, little brother, I have made you a bow and some arrows. It is time you learned to take care of yourself. So when I am gone, practice shooting, for this is a thing you must know how to do. Winter was coming, and to keep himself from freezing, the boy had nothing better than a light garment woven by his sister from the wild grasses. How could he get a warm coat? As he asked himself that question, a flock of snowbirds flew down nearby and began pecking at the fallen logs to get worms. Ha! Said he. Their feathers would make a fine coat for me. This is the mastodon, a.k.a. Bosh Quadosh, and he was the biggest of all the animals, as you've heard, and as you can see, there's some Native Americans running away. He's a pretty big dude. He's a little intimidating, and I think they're trying to get back in their canoes after they've failed miserably, and I guess a little off in the distance, right underneath, I think he might be about to be squashed. It seems like there's a faint figure who might be about to spear him. I don't know. The resolution's a little bad on it, but anyways. Okay. Bending his bow, he let an arrow fly, but he had not yet learned how to shoot straight. It went wide of the mark. He shot a second and a third. Then the birds took fright and flew away. Each day he tried again, shooting at a tree when there was nothing better to aim at. At last he killed a snowbird, then another, and another. When he had shot 10 birds, he had enough. See, sister, he said, I shall not freeze. Now you can make me a coat from the skins of these little birds. So his sister sewed the skins together and made him the coat, the first warm winter coat he had ever had. It was fine to look at, and the feathers kept out the cold. Ee-yah! He was proud of it. With his bows and arrows, he strutted up and down like a little turkey cock. Is it true, he asked, that you and I are the only persons living on the earth? Perhaps if I look around, I may find someone else. It will do no harm to try. His sister feared he would come to some harm, but he made up his mind to see the world for himself, and off he went. But his legs were short. He was not used to walking far, and he soon grew tired. When he came to a bare place on the edge of a hill, where the sun had melted the snow, he lay down and was soon fast asleep. As he slept, the sun played him a trick. It was a mild winter's day. The bird skins of which the coat was made were still fresh and tender, and under the full glare of the sun they began to shrivel and shrink. Yah! What's wrong? He muttered in his sleep, feeling the coat becoming tighter and tighter. Then he woke, stretched out his arms, and saw what had happened. The sun was nearly sinking now. The boy stood up and faced it and shook his small fist. "See what you have done," he cried, with a stamp of his foot. You have spoiled my new bird skin coat. Never mind. You think yourself beyond my reach up here, but I'll be revenged on you. Just wait and see." Do a little water right here. Nice, nice. Helps us with the throat. The throat gets a little dry. Moving on. "But how could he reach the sun?" asked Morning Glory, her eyes growing rounder and rounder. "That is what his sister asked when he told her about it," said Yagu. "And what do you think he did? First, he did nothing at all, but stretched himself out on the ground, where he lay for 10 days without eating or moving. Then he turned over on the other side and lay there for 10 days more. At last he rose to his feet. 'I have made up my mind,' he said. 'Sister, I have a plan to catch the sun in a noose. Find me some kind of cord from which I can make a snare.' She got some tough grass and twisted it into rope. 'That will not do,' he said. 'You must find something stronger.' He no longer talked like a little boy, but like one who was to be obeyed. Then his sister thought of her hair. She cut enough from her head to make a cord, and when she had plaited it, he was much pleased and said it would do. He took it from her and drew it between his lips, and as he did this, it turned into kind of a metal, and grew much stronger and longer, till he had so much that he wound it around his body. In the middle of the night, he made his way to the hill, and there he fixed a noose at the place where the sun would rise. He had to wait a long time in the cold and darkness, but at last a faint light came into the sky. As the sun rose, it was caught fast in the noose, and there it stayed. Yagu stopped talking and started looking into the fire. One might have supposed that when he did this, he saw pictures in the flames and in the red coals, and that these pictures helped him to tell the story. But Morning Glory was impatient to hear the rest. "Yagu," she said timidly at last, "did you forget about the dormouse?" "Yeah, the dormouse. No, I have not forgotten," answered the old man, rousing himself. When the sun did not rise as usual, the animals could not tell what had happened. Adji Daumo, the squirrel, chattered and scolded from the branch of a pine tree. Kagaji, the raven, flapped his wings and croaked more hoarsely than ever, to tell the others that the end of the world had come. Only Mukwa, the bear, did not mind. He had crept into his cave for the winter, and the darker it was, the better he liked it. Wabun, the east wind, was the one who brought the news. He had drawn from his quiver the silver arrows with which he chased the darkness from the valleys. But the sun had not risen to help him, and the arrows fell harmless to the earth. "Wake, wake," he wailed. Someone has caught the sun in a snare. Which of the animals will dare to cut the cord?" But even the coyote, the prairie wolf, who was the wisest of them all, could think of no way to free the sun. So great was the heat thrown out by its rays that he could not come within an arrow's flight of where it was caught fast in the magical noose of hair. "Leave it to me," screamed Keneu, the war eagle, from his nest on the cliff. "It is I alone who soar to the sky and look the sun in the face without winking. Leave it to me." Down he darted through the darkness, and up he flew again, with his eagle feathers singed. Then they woke the dormouse. They had a hard time doing it, because when he once went to sleep, he stayed asleep for 6 months, and it was almost impossible to arouse him. Coyote crept close to his ear and howled with all his might. It would have split the eardrum of almost any other animal, but Kug ibin guaqua, the dormouse, only groaned and turned over on the other side, and Coyote had a narrow escape from being mashed flat like a corn cake. There is only one thing that will awake him, said Coyote, getting up and shaking himself. I will run to the mountain cave of Anne-Miki, the thunder. His voice is even more terrible than mine. So off he went at a gallop. Soon they could hear Anne-Miki coming. Boom, boom! When he shouted in the ear of the dormouse, the biggest beast on earth rose slowly to his feet. In the darkness, he looked bigger than ever, almost as big as a mountain. Anne-Miki, the thunder, shouted once more to make sure that the dormouse was really wide awake and would not go to sleep again. Now, said Coyote to the dormouse, it is you that will have to free the sun. If he burned one of us, there would be little left but bones. But you are so big that if part of you is burned away, there will still be enough. Then, in that case, you would not have to eat so much or work so hard to get it. The dormouse was a stupid animal, and Coyote's talk seemed true talk. Besides, as he was the biggest animal, he was expected to do the biggest things. So he made his way to the hill where the little boy had snared the sun and began to nibble at the noose. As he nibbled away, his back got hotter and hotter. Soon it began to burn, till all the upper part of him burned away and became great heaps of ashes. At last, when he cut through the cord with his teeth and set the sun free, all that was left of him was an animal no larger than an ordinary mouse. What he became then, so he is today. Still, he is big enough for a mouse, and perhaps that is what Coyote really meant. Coyote the prairie wolf is a cunning beast, up to many tricks, and it is not always easy to tell exactly what he means. The end. A little bit of an abrupt ending to that story there. I apologize for that. Let's see here. I am just going to check and see a couple of things. I'm going to launch this app that I can't remember the name of to see. I think it is called Restream Chat. There it is. I'm going to just put it over on my other screen so you don't have to see that nonsense. And let's see here. Just going to see. Perfect. All right. Okay. So that was tonight's story. That's pretty much the end of this broadcast. Tomorrow at about 7 p.m., we are going to tune in and listen to how the summer came. And pretty much, I think there are, let me see how many more pages are left inside of this collection of Native American Indian fairy tales. Let me see. So we're about halfway through the book, as you might be able to see. If I make this, put this over here, and you'll be able to see the scroll bar here on the side, and cool. There we go. It's about halfway through the book. Next story after that is going to be, don't want you to get this surprise spoiled. Grasshopper would be the next story after that, which we might do on Monday, possibly on Tuesday. So by Tuesday we'll have that. I'll make a determination tomorrow night after we finish How the Summer Came. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Always enjoy your water. It keeps the throat soothed. It takes away the dryness. Got a lot of clumped up saliva in my mouth. I don't know. It's not clumped up. It's built up, I guess you could say. Clumped up's sounds a little gross. I wouldn't say that that's accurate. This broadcast was brought to you by Poland Springs Water. They don't really sponsor me, so it wasn't really brought to you by them. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp. That is Sunday, the 29th of October at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the dot. We'll do a little warm-up, have a little water, jump straight into it, do some tongue twisters before you jump straight into it. And you guys you have yourself a great night, okay? Bye.